Hello everyone and welcome back to Efficient Gaming. Today we are looking at the 13th Monster Week. Can you believe we're at number 13 already? It doesn't seem like we've had that many, but we're on the 13th Monster Week. We've got our first new legendary monster from the new monster sets that's been released in a Monster Week, which is, and I looked it up, pronounced Dao. It's of the Elemental class type, and unlike, shall I say, unlike the events where we need to look for rare monsters, this one seems to be plentiful, at least in the area that I'm in. We're going to take a look at how to beat this new monster, the timings for its attacks, where to find it, and how to beat it, as well as all of the time tasks, and give you some tips on those. So let's check it out. Okay, so this is a really good example to begin with. There is one here. Shortly before filming this, there were actually 4 around me, but now there's one right here. I'm not going to show you that because everything I need to show you I've got pre-recorded from doing bits and pieces of monsters today. But you can see what it looks like on the map now. So its spawn rate seems more than when we needed to do rare monsters, and we need less of these to complete the week. So you can see my Dimeritium bombs just finished because I used quite a lot of those in getting the perfect battle for this one. It was very difficult and I tried lots of times, but I did manage to do it. But let's check out first what's new this week, and then we'll look at our time task tips. So we're on the 16th of February. This is our new monster, and again, as I said, the first legendary. Let's have a quick look at what's new in 116. Let's have a... Oh, okay. A good update. So, greetings witches. We're happy to introduce the 116 update. Can't wait for 117. That reminds me so much of my Master Chief in Halo. But anyway, we've introduced new scroll types that summon 5 monsters from the group involving the current Monster Week. So these they had during the Christmas events, so Mid-Invane. And they were quite useful if you found yourself in an area where the monster wasn't spawning a lot. For me, at the very least here, it's spawning pretty much everywhere. It says it spawns in natural environments or any occurring natural environments, but it's been spawning everywhere for me, in towns, out in the middle of nowhere, everywhere. We've changed the vulnerability of Grimhag from steel to silver. That's a very interesting change. I did feel that there were... I mean, this must be due to lore and keeping in line with the rest of the Witcher games, presumably. I haven't actually played any of the rest of the Witcher games, but I'm very much looking forward to when I do start. We might document that experience as well, so that everyone can see. But I was actually introduced to this from the television show before I got into Monster Slayer, so yeah, I am looking forward to playing the games though. So I imagine the change from steel to silver is due to keeping in line with the other games. We've introduced minor fixes and we've improved the gameplay. Like I've said before, it'd be really nice to know what those minor fixes were and how you've improved the gameplay, because I swear, again, even after this update, the laggy monster battles are still there, and they still plague me at the very least. But anyway, let's look at this week's monster, the Dao. Witcher, have you heard the rumors? People are whispering about the appearance of a Dao, a rare earth elemental. Perform the time tasks and see whether the gossip is true. Words come with great power. Remember, this monster is common in all natural environment types. It has increased activity in fog. So it hasn't been foggy today, and there have been plenty around. The one that was here is gone now, but I don't need it anymore. I've actually got the completed bestiary of it just today. So there's plenty around, at least for me. Hopefully it's not too difficult for you to track down. Let's have a quick look in the bestiary just to see if it says anything different here from what it says in the what's new. Occurrences common in all natural environments, increased activity in fog. No, so it doesn't say anything different. The lore down the bottom of it, though, says the only recorded case of a moved mountain mentions in the Mahakam peak named Ah, under which Tao had buried an elven palace, Muir Deeth. I'm probably pronouncing half of that wrong, but yeah. So that's interesting. They got a bit of lore about it as well, so that's cool. But I'm excited for the first new legendary, apart from the fact that I've already finished it and technically I don't need to do it anymore. But this one was interesting this week. It is a quite difficult one to beat. You're going to need some Dimeritium bombs if you want to complete all the time tasks. So let's take a look at those now. Right, so the rewards are pretty standard for the week. They've been like that for quite a while. 3 baits, 1 crafting station, and 500 gold. So first off, we've got kill 5 Tao, which obviously you will do in completing some of the rest of these more specific time tasks. Kill 20 monsters from the Elementa class. That's easy. All the Tao are from Elementa. If you want to do anything else, I've seen a couple of stone golems are around, so that's helping with my bestiary. And pixies are Elementa anyway, so they're quite easy, as well as gargoyles, and they're relatively common. Gather 50 units of powdered monster tissue. I actually did this in 2 battles because the Tao actually give you so many from beating them because they're a legendary. Kill 10 monsters from the Elementa class while using elemental oil. Now, I haven't confirmed this yet, and I'm purposely leaving because I want to try something. I want to test to see if you find a Nemeton with 3 Elementa in it. If you use the Witcher oil, specifically elemental oil, in that Nemeton, does that count as it's being used against 3 monsters rather than just the 1 if you were to use it on a single monster on the map? So that could potentially save me and the rest of you guys some oils and crafting time and potions and potentially in-game money, if that works. So I haven't actually managed to find one of those yet today, but I'm going to try and keep that around during the week and test that out to see if that does, and I'll give you an update next week if it does. So now on to the difficult ones, which I've obviously got pre-recorded videos for those. Kill a Tao without using any bombs. So let's go and have a quick look at that. Okay, so as usual, I'm just going to point out which of the tasks that I'm looking to complete. Now, we did actually try and do 2 of these, but we didn't fail. We failed at doing the second one, so we've just gone for no bombs. So as normal, we're obviously going to be using an elemental oil. We are going to be using the Swift and Swallow potion. You can use either Incandescent Heart or Melith, or if you have neither of those swords, you can use any other. But we're going for no bombs, so you want to be using something. I've gone for a majority survivability build because this thing hits hard and I want the health regen from it. I went with Melith and or Incandescent Heart because of the extra fire damage. And yeah, we're basically just using our signs, trying to do some good parries. Now, the other one that I was going to attempt with this was to do the perfect parries and perfect critical hits. Now, I'm very sure that we got all the perfect parries in here, but the perfect critical hits you actually need to fill the critical bar up for. And while that is possible, this was the first monster encounter or second monster encounter of these that I had, so I didn't quite have the timing down for the perfect parries. So I wasn't able to fill the critical bar up enough to get any more than 1 attempt at a crit, which we failed anyway. So yeah, but we did manage to beat it without using any bombs. It was a little bit, I hate to say it's a little bit boring, but all my strategies for these are somewhat similar in the fact that I go straight for the Swift and Swallow potion to use with the White Gold potion with my Manticore armor. Manticore armor is so useful. If you haven't got it, I recommend saving up for it. It has been almost essential in doing some of these. I was speaking with someone on the Discord group recently, and they don't have the Manticore armor and they haven't unlocked all of their 3 potion slots yet, and so they've found it quite hard to do even one of last week's time tasks. So the Manticore armor makes that just so much easier and more possible. But anyway, that was us completing it with no bombs. Even though it is pretty standard, it is a tried and tested way to defeat them with survivability. Alright, so the next one we're going to move on to is to kill a Dao without performing any melee attacks. Now, this one was one of the more difficult ones. We go for the same essential build, where we are going to do it with using... although we have changed the sword, so because we're not dealing any sword damage, we may as well go for another effect from the sword that helps us. So I'm using my Manticore Steel Sword, and that's just going to give us quicker cooldown reduction on our sign casts. So first off, we're throwing the Dimeritium Bomb, we are defending, and of course we are casting our signs. Now, it's a bit boring, but this is all we're going to be doing through the whole time. I think I managed to do this with one bomb this time because I had an attempt at this previously, and I used 2 of my Dimeritium bombs in that, which were basically wasted because at one point when I hit the sign button, it didn't take. So the next time I swiped my finger across the screen to try and perform a sign, it hit the monster, and I'm like, oh, what a waste of all my resources that I've just used. Luckily, I'm a giant hoarder and I have plenty of them, but it was still annoying nonetheless. So if you're attempting this, just make sure that before you start casting your sign, the sign button has been fully pressed, like I failed at previously. But in this example, we have done it correctly. What you'll see is occasionally I do wait to finish casting the sign until the monster has started his attack animation, because that, at least to me, seems like it waits longer in between attacking me next. Whereas if I do it just before it started its attack animation, it might, it still will, because I'm using ARD, it still will delay that by a second, but it won't necessarily delay it by as much. So if you interrupt their attack, it also seems to delay it. So it's certainly worth, even if you think the attack's coming soon, waiting until it started to attack and then delaying it, rather than just using it as soon as it's available. But these are just minor tips within how we were going to do this. But again, we're using our survivability build. We've gone for the Swift and Swallow potion. We've got our Dimeritium bombs, so that, I mean, you could use other kinds of bombs, and you could use more bombs to make this easier on yourself. But the Dimeritium bombs mean that the damage that we're dealing from our signs, it's weak to. So we're going to be doing the maximum damage from our signs. And if you use any of the other bombs, it's going to be resistant to it because it's only weak to Dimeritium. So eventually we will finish this off. And as you can see towards the end of this, or actually most of the way through, I've gotten quite practiced at getting all of the parries on both of its attacks. So if you want to re-watch that video, it's a really good example of when to parry to get the perfect parries for each of the different kinds of attacks that the Dao does on us. And as you can see, we've actually killed 5 of these now, but the most important thing, we've managed to kill it without performing any melee attacks. And yeah, so that is the end of that video. We will move on to the next one. So the next one is kill a Dao after performing at least 3 perfect parries and 3 perfect criticals. Now again, this one I had a little bit of a different strategy for, but in essence it's similar to the other ones. So I'm just showing you that this is the one we're attempting before we go and fight it. So for this one, I've still gone with our survivability, the Swift and Swallow. We're not going to be using an oil, and we're not going to be using a bomb. So I'm just highlighting that we're not going to be using an oil or a bomb. It doesn't matter which sword we use, but I've purposely gone for one that doesn't have any extra damage. So I'm not using my Melith or my Incandescent Heart. I am using my Manticore ones, because one, it gives us a quicker cooldown on our signs, which we're going to be using to just deflect some of this damage, and 2, it doesn't have that extra damage. So because we're trying to perform 3 perfect crits and 3 perfect hits, we want the survivability. So I've gone into this battle with the intention of and the knowledge that last time we tried this, when we were trying it with a different time task being completed as well, that it didn't work because we were dealing too much damage, and therefore the monster died too quickly. So this survivability build gives us enough time to be able to make enough perfect parries that it does build up that crit meter to the point where I'm actually able to get out 3 or 4 perfect crits during this. And having done all of the other time tasks, I've gotten more used to its timing, so I am actually more able to time those perfect parries, which means we fill up our crit bar and are actually able to do the 2 or 3 perfect crits. It also does help that I actually landed all the crits. If you fail 1 or 2 of these, you may need to either just finish off the monster anyway, because you're going to need to kill a certain amount of them, 1 for your bestiary and 2 for completing the time task this week, and do it on another one, or 2, cancel the encounter, hit that cross in the corner, hope that it's still on the map, and go back in and try again using a new set of potions. So if you do mess it up, it can be a little bit wasteful on potions, but you've just got to try. I mean, these time tasks aren't designed to be super easy. They're designed to need a little bit of thought and planning behind them, as well as a bit of skill. So that's why I'm here giving you the tips, and hopefully that does help you. But yeah, they're not designed to be easy, so don't expect to be able to do it first go. I would practice the timing on some of your other general kills while you're building up your kills for the bestiary, and then after you're a bit more comfortable with it, maybe come and have a go at this. Now, the only other thing I would say with this is you could use 1 Dimeritium bomb at the beginning, which would allow your melee attacks to charge up the crits. You could do that, and that will work, but bear in mind that you're going to defeat the monster quicker in that scenario, and so you might not get as many attempts at the crits. So weigh it up yourself. You decide what's going to work better for you, whether you want to use that Dimeritium bomb or not. But I wouldn't recommend using any other damage enhancing, because you want more opportunities and more chances to get those perfect parries and to get those perfect crits. I really think that this is quite a cool addition to the game. It's a cool looking monster. It's nice to get one of the legendaries. I kind of want to pet one. It looks really cool. But yeah, especially with that like singular eye or like jewel on the front of its face and its shield, and the fact that it's a tree, I just really like this monster in general. But let me know how you enjoyed the week, if you found quite a few of these monsters. If you haven't, I hope you guys enjoyed the video this week and find the tips useful. We'll be back next week with the next monster week, so which I believe is wyverns. So we'll see you then. Bye.